The Arctic tern lives a life defined by distance. More than any other animal on Earth, it exists between worlds. From the frozen edges of the Arctic to the drifting ice of Antarctica, this bird follows the sun across the planet, year after year, without pause. Scientifically known as Sterna paradisea, the Arctic tern holds the record for the longest migration in the animal kingdom. Each year, it travels from its breeding grounds in the Arctic to its wintering grounds near Antarctica and back again. Over a lifetime, this distance can exceed several million kilometers, equivalent to multiple journeys to the moon and back. Despite this extraordinary achievement, the Arctic tern is a small, lightweight seabird. It does not dominate through size or strength. Its success comes from efficiency, precision, and a body refined by evolution for endurance. The Arctic tern's physical structure is built for flight. Long, narrow wings provide lift with minimal drag. The body is streamlined, reducing energy loss over vast distances. Its forked tail enhances maneuverability, allowing fine control during flight and feeding. Feathers are light but durable, offering insulation against cold air and spray without adding excess weight. The bird's mass is kept low, reducing the energy required to stay airborne. Every gram matters when survival depends on continuous movement. Flight in the Arctic tern is not constant flapping. Like many seabirds, it uses dynamic soaring and wind-assisted gliding to conserve energy. It exploits air currents above the ocean, adjusting altitude and angle to maintain forward motion with minimal effort. Migration is not a straight line. Arctic terns follow complex, curved routes shaped by wind systems, ocean productivity, and seasonal changes. Instead of flying directly north to south, they trace giant arcs across the Atlantic and Southern Oceans, maximizing favorable conditions. Navigation remains one of the species' greatest mysteries. Arctic terns travel across featureless oceans where landmarks are absent. Scientists believe they rely on a combination of solar position, Earth's magnetic field, wind patterns, and possibly even polarized light. Young terns make their first migration alone. They receive no guidance from parents. Instinct, not instruction, directs them across hemispheres. Errors can be fatal. Precision is everything. The Arctic tern experiences more daylight than any other animal. By migrating between polar regions, it lives in near constant summer, maximizing access to food and favorable conditions. This exposure to light shapes its biology, behavior, and reproductive timing. Feeding occurs primarily at sea. Arctic terns hunt small fish, crustaceans, and marine invertebrates. They feed by hovering briefly before plunging into the water, seizing prey with sharp, pointed beaks. This feeding method requires accuracy in timing. The tern must judge distance, water movement, and prey position in an instant. Mistakes waste energy. Success sustains the journey. At breeding grounds, Arctic terns gather in colonies. These locations are typically remote, cold, and sparsely vegetated. Such environments reduce predator presence but increase exposure to harsh weather. Breeding occurs during the brief Arctic summer. Timing is critical. Eggs must hatch and chicks must develop quickly before conditions deteriorate. There is no room for delay. Nests are simple depressions on the ground, sometimes lined with small stones or vegetation. Both parents participate in incubation and chick care. Cooperation is essential. Chicks hatch covered in down, already adapted to cold. Parents feed them frequently, delivering small fish caught nearby. Growth is rapid. Within weeks, chicks must be ready for flight. Parental defense is aggressive. Arctic terns are famously fearless when protecting nests. They dive bomb predators many times their size, striking with beaks and claws. This behavior earns them a reputation disproportionate to their small stature. Once breeding ends, adults and juveniles begin the long journey south. There is no extended rest period. The global circuit resumes almost immediately. Longevity helps balance the cost of such extreme travel. Arctic terns can live for decades, spreading reproductive effort across many years. However, this also means population recovery is slow if losses occur. The Arctic tern plays an important role in marine ecosystems. It transfers energy between regions, feeding in productive zones and depositing nutrients through waste. It also serves as prey for larger birds and marine predators. Human activity increasingly threatens this finely tuned life cycle. Climate change alters wind patterns and ocean productivity, disrupting migration routes. Melting ice affects breeding grounds. Shifts in fish populations reduce food availability. Pollution is another major threat. Plastic debris contaminates oceans, and terns may ingest small fragments mistaken for food. Oil spills devastate feeding areas, leaving birds without resources mid-migration. Fishing practices reduce prey availability and increase competition. Although Arctic terns are not heavily affected by bycatch, changes in marine ecosystems ripple outward. Conservation of Arctic terns requires international cooperation. This species crosses dozens of national boundaries and spends most of its life outside any single jurisdiction. Protection must be global to be effective. Despite these challenges, the Arctic tern endures. It has survived ice ages, shifting continents, and millennia of environmental change. Its design is not fragile, but it is precise. Disruption beyond certain limits becomes dangerous. The Arctic tern does not conquer space. It follows it. It reads wind, light, and water as a living map. Its migration is not reckless. It is calculated. This bird embodies the idea that movement itself can be a survival strategy. Instead of adapting to one place, it adapts to the entire planet. If the Arctic tern were to disappear, the loss would be symbolic as much as ecological. It represents connection between hemispheres, continuity across extremes, and the endurance of life through motion. The Arctic tern reminds us that Earth is not divided by borders. Oceans, winds, and seasons form a single system. Survival depends on understanding that system, not controlling it. Every year, as the sun circles the globe, the Arctic tern follows. And in that endless journey, it writes one of the greatest migration stories nature has ever produced.